China Current is a weekly news talk show from China to the world. We cover viral news about China every week and also give you the newest updates on China's cutting-edge technologies. Let's get started. Hi, welcome to China Currents. I'm Chris. So Saudi Arabia and Iran surprised the world by resuming diplomatic relations after 7 years of tension. 7 years? Even lovebirds will grow estranged, let alone geopolitical rivals. Well, rivalry might be an understatement. Those guys were literally at each other's throats. Just a little background. In 2016, the Saudis severed their ties with the Iranians after the latter ransacked and set fire to the former's embassy to protest against the Sunni kingdom's execution of an anti-government Shiite cleric. They haven't talked since then, but they did all kinds of nasty things to each other through proxies, except fighting directly. In many ways, their struggle for power was like a mini Cold War in the Middle East, smaller in scale, but more complicated. I mean, come on, it's the Middle East. The very name of the region screams trouble. Religion, ideology, ethnicity, terrorism, governance, and geopolitics, they get all tangled together to create a freaking mess. It's like an interlocking puzzle nobody knows how to solve. Even the experts. The only thing they know, but you don't know, is how to pronounce those impossible names. Other than that, they just throw up their hands and say, oh, this shit is structural. Wow, brilliant insight. But now, all of a sudden, Saudi Arabia and Iran have decided not to be enemies anymore, but to be each other's Gorbachev, which is a much happier ending than the original Cold War. They're like, peace out, pal. I don't want to screw with you as long as you don't, The US and Israel were left out in the cold, blindsided by the unexpected reconciliation, wondering what happened. Did the sun rise in the west? No. Actually, the road to peace was paved from the east. China. The pact that brought Saudi Arabia and Iran back together was not bilateral, but a trilateral joint statement with China acting as the mediator. Hey bros, since I am here, do me a favor. Stop fighting. Fighting is bad for the economy. Saudi, I thought you said you want to diversify. And Iran, you still want to modernize? So promise me that you will do the right thing. And let me see your action. And the next thing you see is two mortal enemies shaking hands in Beijing. And the Chinese foreign minister literally brought their hands together, just like how Liu Bei turned two dueling warriors into sworn brothers in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And that meme has gone viral on the Chinese internet. People got so excited, cheering and celebrating. We did it! We restored world peace! Well, not entire world, but not far off. It's the Middle East. The pit of chaos, where the US superpowers failed to achieve peace after decades of involvement. But it only took us weeks. So we did something the world's police couldn't do. So give us the Nobel Peace Prize. And that, I'm afraid, is not true. You can't be serious suggesting that China is able to do what the US isn't. Such hubris. I thought modest is a Chinese virtue. I could be wrong. But hey, you know what it means to be the most powerful country in the world? It means influence. People would have to listen to you. Maybe not out of respect for you, but certainly out of respect for your power. If the White House wills, it could bring to the negotiating table not just Saudis and Iranians, but Israelis and Palestinians, or even Russians and Ukrainians. Why not? Biden can just call up Putin and Zelensky, you guys free next Monday? Come and sign the peace treaty. I got it ready. So yes, the US is fully capable of putting a stop to almost all conflicts in the world single-handedly. What is extremely hard to achieve for those who are structurally bound to clash with one another, for the US, it's like a walk in the park. Easy breezy. Just let go, walk away, done. Well, to be fair, sometimes the hands-off approach just doesn't work. You gotta hold even more tightly on the leash so those dogs know who's the boss here. And they'll stop barking when you tell them to shut up. Good boys. Hey guys, welcome to my house in East Asia. Meet Korea and Japan. They used to be enemies. Korea was seriously fucked by Japan, but now they're good. They got over it. You're good? You're good? See, they're good. Pax Americana. Peace under America's rule. So ladies and gentlemen, 3 cheers for Uncle Sam. Hip hip, hooray! Who knows what miracles he can achieve so long as he puts his mind to it? But maybe, I'm saying maybe, he doesn't want universal peace after all. Why broker for peace when you can profit from war? There's an iron triangle among the Pentagon, defense contractors and politicians. It's called MICC, Military Industrial Congressional Complex, a hungry beast that feeds on wars, perpetual, endless wars. Wars that it doesn't have to win. Winning is good, but losing is better. Because the budget for next year is going to be even more bloated. Just stay put, boys. Don't pull out. We're coming from behind. With two vast oceans on both flanks, 800 military bases dotting the globe, and 40% of the world's military spending, the US has got to be the world's most secure country. There's no one to defend against, except maybe Canada. So what to do with the security surplus? The extra guns, missiles, and fighter jets? Sell them to somebody else. You want security? Pick a weapon. Ours is the best in the world. No? You don't need them? You're secure enough? Really? Trust me, you're gonna need them. Or I'll make you need them. Do it. Well, sorry for the bad acting, but may I please remind you that US has been at peace for a grand total of 17 years in its 247 years of history. War is the modus operandi. The Department of Defense absolutely loves it. By the way, that's a misnomer. It was properly named as the Department of War for more than a century and a half until 1947 when he started to build a modern Pax Americana. Let's not talk about wars anymore, but rather peace on America's rules so we can have some order. My order. So this is important because wars make US so powerful, and power tastes so sweet that they won't hesitate to wage wars to defend power. You stop being so aggressive or I'll have to defend myself. Okay, why am I talking about America? Sorry, just about a little digression. I just want to express my admiration for the genius idea of turning security into a major export. Now let's go back to China and the Middle East, okay? So the most surprising part about Saudi Arabia and Iran patching up their relationship is the involvement of China. Not as the third wheel, but as the third leg, providing crucial support to something so fragile that men handle with care, okay, which is peace, obviously. So China is generally viewed correctly as an outsider to the Middle East. So we chose to stay out for good reasons, because, well, no offense, Middle East, but your place is a madhouse. A attacks B, B attacks C, C attacks D, D attacks all of the above. So we're too scared to mess around. China is not the US. We're no match for them, okay? Unlike them, who are on a solemn mission to deliver the democracy brand of security to people's doorsteps, we Chinese people are never so altruistic. We're selfish. We're timid and shy. Everywhere we go, we just want to keep quiet, stay out of trouble, and make some money. 闷声发大财. Traditional Chinese wisdom, fairly simple. The business is all about seeking common ground while shelving differences. That's the art of the deal. Trump knows the best. When you hush hush, you get paid. I told you he's our guy. So China be like, I'm not here to judge. I'm in no position to judge. Go to Uncle Sam. He's the ultimate arbiter of good and bad. But if you come to me, don't tell me why you are right and he's wrong. Don't bother, because I have no interest. Just like my development loans, so why don't you shut up and take my money? A little counterintuitive, let me explain. So China is not a rich country by per capita GDP, but it's become significantly richer than it used to be just a few decades ago. The big secret lies in state investment in infrastructure, or Keynesian economics with Chinese characteristics, if you will. So when China goes overseas, it speaks out of its own experience. Invest now, so you can have a fortune later. Take my loans, build yourself some roads, grow yourself some business, make yourself useful, all right? No judgment, just development. You guys cool with that? You don't want also okay, I go somewhere else. Like I said, China is no philanthropist. It lends out money now in hope of cashing in later. But the biggest problem with the majority of human beings, aka the developing world, is not that they don't have money. Of course they don't, but that's not the worst problem. The worst problem is they have no industry to make any stuff. So they got no choice but to put up with price scissors to sell their resources cheap and buy expensive manufactured goods. And as a manufacturing powerhouse, China can choose to rip them off. But that way, it won't sustain a healthy economic relationship in the long term. So China wants everybody to have some money, then they can afford more of our stuff. So we can make more money in the future. Therefore, we'll be better off ourselves if our partners' economy thrive. Such is the win-win situation China's been selling around the world. It's not China winning twice, but both partners winning repeatedly into the indefinite future. Anyone up for it? You bet! Who doesn't want a global public good China offers, which is development? Who doesn't want to develop? Who doesn't want better lives? Who doesn't want to ladder out the fucking pit of chaos? No one. Except perhaps extremist maniacs. Oh, by the way, those guys are not stupid. It's just their interests are not aligned with most people. You may guess why. Do it. So some people in the developed world think that shithole countries just fight for stupid reasons, that they tend to exaggerate them. They see Saudi Arabia and, to a greater extent, Iran as irrational fanatics who are bent on destroying each other. You ask them why? Oh, it's the religion that makes Sunnis and Shiites natural-born enemies. But in fact, those Muslims generally agree with each other. Same Allah, same Muhammad, alayhi salam, same Quran, just like Protestants and Catholics, same God, same Jesus, same Bible. Their difference? How many times you should pray each day? 3 or 5. Where to place your hands during prayers? Crossed in front or by the sides? Well, call me a kafir, but even the original split had more to do with politics than religion. So you see, politics always messed things up, which was exactly what happened between Saudi Arabia and Iran, who saw themselves as respective leaders of the two branches of Islam and both vied for regional dominance in the Middle East. But what had caused and enabled the power struggle in the first place? You need to go back 2 decades when the US crushed Saddam Hussein's Iraq, which was the third leader of the Arab world after Egypt and Syria, and a strategic counterweight to Iran, thereby creating a power vacuum that invited different forces, including state, governments, rebel militants, tribal warlords, and terrorist groups, to exploit the chaos in their Game of Thrones. So in a nutshell, the Americans screwed things up and opened a Pandora's box. In the past, China would have no choice but to retreat from conflict zones because it didn't, and it still doesn't have the capability to establish and maintain order overseas, let alone underwriting international security. That's the global public good / lucrative commodity made in US of A. It's their specialty. We'll never be able to manipulate the supply-demand of security like the US does, so as to keep everybody else in its orbit. Right? Korea and Japan? And Europe? Keep an eye on the French. That empire state of mind is just beyond us, okay? But the reason China is playing more active role is that more and more countries have welcomed Chinese presence in their economies because modern states need to deliver growth to its citizens in exchange for their consent to rule. Well, as I said, they are rational people. They've come to their senses and realized that their insatiable appetite for security is often artificially driven by he who mustn't be named, that they are pitted against one another fighting somebody else's war. So China can't undo the damages the Middle East has endured, but as a very old nation, it does bring a long-term civilizational perspective. So we all know the Arabs and Persians are not really into each other. But if you look at history, the Islamization of Persia and the Persianization of Islam, you'll see their fates were literally interwoven into each other's. They're like 2 disgruntled neighbors living in an old apartment. No matter how much grudge one holds towards the other, he knows perfectly well that it's impossible to evict his neighbor, who's entitled to the property just as much as he is. And he also finds the shabby building insufferable and wants to have an overhaul. So for better or for worse, you guys are going to share this place for the next 1,000 years. This is what we call the community of shared future for mankind. So why not just stop quarreling and talk to the project manager from the renovation company that's China? Hey guys, let's start working. Well, thank you for watching our show. We'd love to see your thoughts and comments. Please contact us at the email address below. Looking forward to hearing from you.